Hello and good morning. Welcome to this second Family Business Histories webinar in collaboration with New York University, Abu Dhabi, and the Tharawat Family Business Forum. My name is Farida Al-Agami. I'm the General Manager of the Tharawat Family Business Forum. And it's a great pleasure for me on behalf of NYU AD and Tharawat to welcome you all to this really fascinating webinar about a case study that we've been working on for, I would say, the better part of the last 18 months. Today, we are going to have a very active agenda, and I would like to also encourage you all to really ask your questions, interact with our speaker, and I will try our best, Martin and myself, Professor Martin Klimke and myself, will try our best to weave your questions into the conversation. If you have any questions, please drop it below in your Q&A field, and we'll be happy to try and address it. If you're experiencing any issues with the connection, please feel free to contact our colleagues. And if you want to adjust your view, there's different ways of viewing this webinar. You can do that in your Zoom settings. So what are we going to do today? We have, as I said, a very active program ahead of us. We will start off with a short introduction to our program. So the Family Business Histories program will be introduced by Professor Martin Klimke in just a short while. And then we will move on to an introductory presentation by Mr. Abdallah Almajdouie, who is the Vice Chairman of the Almajdouie Group in Saudi Arabia. And he will really give us a sense of what this family business has achieved over the past 6 decades. And then we will move on in the last part to a Q&A discussion with Mr. Abdallah, where I will again encourage you to ask your questions, and hopefully we will, try to really understand some of the success factors of this family business and how to move from generation to generation as an entrepreneurial family. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Professor Martin Klimke to come and introduce the project and the program Family Business Histories. Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much, Farida. We're very, very happy to welcome all of you today for this wonderful webinar on the 60-year journey of the Almajdouie Group. We're very happy to welcome Mr. Abdallah Almajdouie with us. Before we go to the conversation with Mr. Abdallah, just a few words, as Farida has said, on our particular program that we've been running for a couple of years now. Our collaboration is really a collaboration between New York University, Abu Dhabi, and the Tharawat Family Business Forum on the family business histories that we have explored through the case studies, and that we are trying to find a platform for further research and discussion through workshops and various kinds of educational opportunities. Our goal with this particular collaboration is really to preserve the history and inspire the future of family businesses by compiling, documenting, and analyzing the history, legacy, and socioeconomic impact of family businesses in the GCC and MENASA region. And the reason for that is that we feel very strongly that given the high percentage of family-owned businesses in the private sector all over the world, it is worthwhile to shine a bright spotlight on the MENASA region. As such, oftentimes we feel that family businesses and the respective research connected to it is focused on Western case studies. So we really want to sort of take a global perspective with a specific focus on the Middle East and trying to contrast and compare these particular businesses in the region to the global reach of family business ownership that we're seeing worldwide. And you see here a wonderful slide of some of the world's oldest family businesses, which underlines the fact that this is something that we're really, really using also as a prism to learn more about the histories, the economics, structures, and the socio-cultural compositions of the context in which family businesses emerge over time. So what are our goals? We are trying to understand the history of family businesses themselves, but also their surrounding environment and context in order to make an assessment about the impact that they're having on a variety of levels. We're really keen on highlighting the legacy of each families and their entrepreneurial endeavors, together with an assessment on the mark that they left, on their various societies. We're really keen on preserving the heritage. We're doing that through a variety of means, that are connected to our historical research expertise. And we're also trying to inspire the future through a variety of inspirational workshops, platforms for conversations, so that this is really a meeting point also for family business owners and the academics that are studying them and the general public as a whole. Now, why are we doing all this? As I said, and you could see in the numbers, family businesses are crucial pillars of the MENASA economies. Their sustainability is crucial to the region, and we're obviously now seeing a lot of challenges to that particular sustainability. This sustainability requires vision and joint purpose, and the historic understanding and shared identity is key for such a strategic vision for the future. And we really want to also provide these rich case studies, and you see today one of a very, very rich case study as an opportunity to learn from historical challenges to business founders and leaders. And last but not least, we're very happy that the impulse, for this initiative came from Tharwat members. So this is something that we really feel like very strongly giving back to the community as an example of how we can learn, from the historical legacies that we're trying to unfold in our case studies. And the case studies that we are publishing are going to be highlighting individual founders of active family businesses in and around the region, and we're very happy to delve into these particular individual histories and then have conversations with the representatives of these respective families to illuminate again the enormous impact that especially the founding generation of each of these businesses had and continues to have until today. So for now, I think let's watch a small video presentation on the wonderful Almajdouie case study and family business that we have compiled.
وبدايات العصامية دائما متقاربة. التكنولوجيا بدأوا دائما أغلبهم بدأ من رحم معاناة. الوالد كان نشأته عادية أسرة متواضعة. اشتغل مع واحد من منطقة الباحة أيضا في جدة عنده دكان، ولكن كان قاسي مع الوالد. قاسي قسوة لدرجة الضرب فيمكن منها بدأ تفكير والدي يتشكل اقتصاديا، يتشكل نحو التجارة. قد يكون ذلك قد يكون احتكاكهم في المحلات وكذا رسخ عندي في عقل الباطن حب للتجارة أو حاجة زي كذا. طبعا كانت دمام في ذيك الفترة أو المنطقة الشرقية بصفة عامة مقبل على ازدهار كبير من خلال شركة إيرامكو للبترول مع الشركة الأمريكية، فكانت في فرص وظيفية كبيرة لكافة سكان المملكة. بدأ عمله. The next level was the first truck that he owned. هنا بدأ الشغل باللوجيستكس، وهنا تأسست مجموعة المجدوعي. في فترة اسمها فترة الطفرة اللي صارت نهاية السبعينات في السعودية. الوالد استفاد، ما في شك، الحمد لله استفدنا من هذه المرحلة بشكل جيد، والحمد لله إنه الاستفادة بنينا عليها. ننبه الجيل الجديد الشاب إنه الحين جاء وقتكم، لازم تنتبهوا، لازم تشوفوا كيف تدعموا عائلاتكم بإدخال أفكار ممتازة.
Thank you so much, Martin, for that introduction and for really giving us an impression of the project that we've been working on together. Now it's my great privilege to invite Mr. Abdallah Almajdouie, who is the Vice Chairman of the Almajdouie Group in Saudi Arabia, to come online and give us an overview over the history and the impact of the Almajdouie Group. Mr. Abdallah is, of course, the vice chairman of the group, but he's also on boards of various institutions. And I would like to mention that Mr. Abdallah is really one of the first people in the region to clearly and openly speak about the need for good family business governance. And it's always been a privilege for us at Tharawat to have his insights and his perspective and vision on how to create a sustainable legacy for family firms. Mr. Abdallah, it's a great pleasure to have you here with us today. Welcome to this webinar.
Thank you very much. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. I don't see my picture.
There you go.
Okay.
Can you see your slide?
I can see my slide, but my picture is supposed to be there or not?
It is there. It is there. We can see you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Farida. Thank you, Tim, for the introduction. And I hope that I will learn as much as I deliver to such elite members and elite guests. If we can go through the slides, actually the group is founded by my father in 1965. He was working in the port authorities. From there, he built up good connections with the traders and merchants. He started as a custom broker in the business. From there, he moved into transportation, trucking, and his first truck is still operated in the fleet, and he gave very personal attention to that truck, since it is he says, oh, it's the mother of the khair, the mother of the money we have. It's started from that truck. You can see the picture of that truck as well. Actually, we are second generation moving to the family. We are 9 brothers and sisters, plus the 2 parents. In 1965, he started the business. From there, he moved into the automotive, real estate, foods, and so on and so forth. So next slide, please. As you can see, the timeline of our group, I will not bother you to go through all these, boxes. There are plenty of these things. Basically, we have the logistics sector, which goes around transportation, heavy haul, freight forwarding, brokerage, custom clearance, you name it. And we have the automotive line, where we have Hyundai and Shangan and Peugeot distributorship in Saudi Arabia. As well, we have other businesses and joint ventures. Okay, next, please. We don't show numbers, of the revenue. The family businesses usually are circled around the privacy and conservation and saying numbers. So what we have shown here is the fixed assets growth, number of employees growth in the last, I think 20 or around so years, and the revenue growth during that period. Alhamdulillah, we have been growing steadily and continuously around these years. Okay, I think that's the last slide. Why the subject of the family business is so important. Especially these days, you can see a lot of roundtables, workshops, seminars goes around the family companies. Mm-hmm. Basically, if you see, based on the results, based on the studies that conducted globally, 30% of the companies goes to the next generation only. Mm-hmm. And 10 to 12% goes to the third generation. So if in our case, if we have 10 companies, only 3 companies will go to the sons and daughters generation. Mm-hmm. And only 10%, 1 out of the 10, goes to the cousin consortium.
Yes.
It is really frustrating, you have to, if you think about it, it's really worrying for those who think ahead, for those who think of their families.
Absolutely, sir.
Certainly, there is a reasons for companies to stay in life, and there are the reasons also for companies to fall apart. So companies who take the right path and the right planning process, the right equipping the generations with the right tools and weapons. With Allah will, they will grow and they will stay alive. We have companies in the Gulf region, 150 years in presence. It is not easy, especially when you mix the blood with the money.
Yeah.
When those two things goes along together, the emotions and the material part, that becomes more difficult. And it is, we say in Arabic, I would say it in English, if you want to lose a friend, lend him money. And the Quran said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا تداينتم بدين إلى أجل مسمى فاكتبوه وليكتب بينكم كاتب بالعدل. So it's important to document things around. It's important to record keeping, which is in a way like constitution and the governance of the families. So basically, that's and generally globally the problems are almost the same.
Yes.
The challenges are almost across the globe. Doesn't specifically available in a region or no, and other are not. No, it's all the same almost. Succession planning, conflict resolutions, exiting the companies, blah blah blah. All these things applies the same across the globe. What we have here may be a bit more difficult. The number of the generations are massive. It's like mushrooming. It starts with the founder. Within 2-3 generations, you see hundreds of mashallah. And we have another problem here in the region is the step brothers, where the mothers are different. Usually the second generation keep a lot of values of the founder, and the presence of single mother, the mother of the it's a strong bond of keeping the relations because it touched the emotions of the sons. So mother is a very important pivot for the coherence of the brothers in the company. It goes to the third generation. It becomes more difficult. The cousins consortium, where different mothers are there, where show off is increased, less connection to the business for some reasons or another. So, but it's possible. It's possible for the companies who want to keep cohesiveness. It's possible that they can go to the right path and continue the legacy.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that really sets the scene very well for our discussion going forward, because really what your introduction has shown us, first of all, is the commercial growth and the expansion, and also what I would like to come back to later on, the diversification, industrial diversification of your group. But then now also your comments show that there is that other side to family firms. Of course, the commercial side is the essential driver of growth, and our entrepreneurial behavior is what makes the big difference with regards to the economic future of the groups. But at the same time, what we need to absolutely be aware of is that the social side, the personal side, the psychological side, and emotional side of being in a family firm. I'd like to hand over to Martin for a first question. I can already see we have a lot of questions coming in from the audience, so we will do our very best to our dear audience members to try and weave those in to our conversation. But Martin, I'd like to hand over to you for the first question to Mr. Abdullah.
Of course, and we're going to try to weave as many of the questions that are coming in into our conversation. But maybe let me just start, since it's so important, as we always see, to set the tone, in the foundational period of any family business. So that's one of the reasons why we really focus on the founder, in our case studies as well. So my question to you would be, what are the specific values and principles that the founder instilled into the family business? And if so, how did they carry over from the first generation to the following?
Before I start, I will make 2 points clear. First, what I'm saying in this seminar, this webinar, or any other place I'm talking to several times, doesn't necessarily apply to our family. But basically, it's a result of my readings, a result of my experience, involving in some cases. So what I'm saying doesn't really necessarily applies to our family. The second thing is that what I'm saying, I'm sure a lot have gone through. So I'm not saying something, wow. Mm-hmm. I'm sure some of you have gone through the same journey, gone through the same challenges. I'm just happen to be talking about our case. That's all. Actually, about 15 years back, when we wanted to move to our new head office, we have about 20 to 25 meeting rooms and auditoriums and common areas. So we had a meeting with all the executives. There were about 30 executives in the company. It was one of the usual meetings we had. So I asked them, give me, when you see my father, what do you see in him? What are the characters that you see in him as a person? So each gave his own prospect of Sheikh Ali, his own feel of Sheikh Ali. So we put on the board these things, and it happens to be the first rank that took the majority of the votes was faithful. He's a faithful guy. The second was just. He's a guy of justice. So we called all the meeting rooms around the building and around the vicinity here with the characters that Sheikh Ali is seen by others working with him. Why is that? Just to make sure that the names are always clicking. When we want to have a meeting in faith room, the faith is always goes around the or commitment room or justice room. Okay, so as they say, it is these small things that make the big things happen. So you cannot come at the moment say I want to be like this or like that, but rather you have to go through the long journey of small successes, small things that will take you there.
This is very interesting, sir. Just to interject here, because we have a question very interestingly. There's two questions I'm going to try to link together because they link exactly to what you're saying right now. The first question is, what's the #1 challenge that is facing family business continuity? And I think what you're saying right now is, linking value to small steps, having a purpose for each step. Would you say that is the first thing to do? Or what else would you say if someone comes to you and says, I have a family business, what should I pay attention to the most in order to ensure continuity?
Well, we have a say in Arabic, each pot will take out what's inside it. So the first thing, I think, to have the continuity is to make sure that your pot is full of nice smells, full of flower smell. What does that mean? It means when you have, the kids of the organization or the family or the young generations, they either can grow the company and make it a legend, or they can fill it down within seconds. So building talents is much more important than building money, because talent will bring money and vice versa. So embedding the values and the principles of the founder to the generations of the company is very essential, because what we see here, unfortunately, we see a disconnect between what the principle of the founder, it's not really cascaded well to the second generation. Somehow they can manage. They have been along with the founder for some time, so they have some of these principles and values, and they can complement each other. When it goes to the third generation, here the real challenge starts, where you have to have. In our case, we have sessions by my father to the third generation all every time, and then we have a session. He talk about his experience, about his cases, his stories, and after that we have questions and answers by the young generation to my father. We have young generation committee on two levels. Level by them, they manage their own seminars. By them, every 2 years there is a new head, and there is another personal committee by us, by the parents and the uncles. We handle their issues. Every year they go 3-4 days outside or inside Saudi Arabia with a full program of leisure, education, fun, sports. So they have a shared story around they talk about, and most importantly, we have to set ourselves as a good role model for them.
Yeah,
that's more important.
This is very, very interesting, and we obviously know that the governance and these structures, in addition to the values, are so deeply embedded, in your company and the philosophy and the practice. But could you talk a little bit more about how these structures came into being and how they work? And one of the questions that we have gotten in the Q&A is, what are the signs, for a family business leadership to detect problems and challenges, and how can these structures address, any potential crisis that may or may not emerge on the horizon?
Well, if I understand your question well, I think actually I have retired early this year. Okay, actually, sorry, I retired early last year. I was a CEO and then became vice chairman. I still have certain files I'm carrying, but one of the most important files I'm carrying is the governance of the family. We have to have a guardian for the governance of the family, like what we have a guardian for the governance of the business, audits and compliance, making sure that things are on the right track. In the family side, I'm sitting myself as a guardian. Actually, I'm set by all brothers for the family constitution, and making sure that the governance of the family is really kept well and followed well. And I'm trying to be close to the young generation for coaching and supporting them. Sometimes I always tell them that even myself, sometimes I got a little bit blaze view. I don't know where to go in certain areas. I need second opinion to help me. So I'm trying to be the second opinion of the young generation. Hopefully I'll get them to the right way and path. But really, they are the ones worth investing in. They are the ones that they need our help and support always.
I think this is beautiful what you're saying, sir, because I see that what your aim is in a certain way is to build a partnership between the generations for the good of the family going forward. And I also know that in your family you have young people who are, for example, working on their own startups very successfully. And I can see how, you know, there is a motivation in the system to encourage young people to express themselves in different projects, in different positions, and really support them. But at the same time, perhaps give them that impression that there is an infrastructure to help them and to support them as well. So kind of at the same time, letting young people try their own ideas and try their own roles, but at the same time being there as an advisor. I think that's something that I read from you know how your group has evolved.
Well, our message always to them that pursue what you love, pursue what you dream of, but you have to be among the few top in that pursuit. You have to be among the few on the top of the pyramid in that field. We have third generation working in the rigs of Aramco in the desert. We have entrepreneurs, we have bankers, we have for those who are really unique and shown super performance in the businesses they are in or in the works that they're in, we attract them. We take them. We already took 2 from their businesses outside the company. We attracted them with a good pay and a good salary to come and join the company. So if you want to join the company, it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do outside, succeed, show that you are a real hero and a real runner, and then we will attract you with the right compensation and the right benefits that suit your job.
So interestingly, I think something for the region that's quite special is that you're basically headhunting your own family talent, which I kind of like that idea a lot, because it shows that there is, on the one hand, competitiveness, right? You're not guaranteed a position, but at the same time, you also show the family members that they are valued as employees. So I think it's an interesting model. There is a gentleman here in the questions who is asking, or who is talking about his own family business and saying, sometimes I feel my family members are standing in the way of the growth of the business. So how can I deal with that? What suggestions do you have to deal with that? And I think it does probably link very much to what you have just said in terms of dealing with talent.
Well, actually, first, the awareness of the family cohesiveness and the family business should be, I cannot say typical, but it should be synergized together. So if I'm talking a language and others are talking different languages, how we can communicate? If I'm singing a song, others singing a different song, how we can say that the outcome will be a beautiful song? It will not. So first we have to increase the awareness of the risks of the family businesses and why we have to be a unity. Very important. You know, either you ride in a big ship in the high waters, high seas, a big ship, safe, or you want to have a small boat and go the risk of maybe going the drone or whatever. So better you be in the big boat with your family. So it's important that you create the small ambassadors around the family, small change agents that they help you around. So when somebody talks, you have the change agents are there to support your point. It takes time. It need you cannot go and confront with others. Rather, take the buy-in from them.
Absolutely.
This is a wonderful moment. Also to bring up the issue of transitions. From one generation to the other. I think you painted a wonderful picture in terms of, the value system, and the alignment, among various members of the family. But very precisely, if you recall, which were the business challenges that you faced when you took over the lead of the group?
Well, it's like parachuting, you know, and this problem was with me as well as with my brothers. We came from the top to the thinking that I'm talking about myself, thinking that I am the Superman of the era. So I came with a lot of you know, enthusiasm and energy, and sometimes, you know, it doesn't need that much of you know, at that age you see the surface of things. You don't see the deep inside, why things are happening the way it is happening. Keeping questioning why will lead you to maybe to a good answer that, you know, this is the best that can be done. But when you are new grads from the university, my focus was on the selfish thing, in the service thing, you know, cleaning, housekeeping, these things, but not really in the deep of the business. But I learned, you know, with time that we have to respect the elders. Either they are the founder or they are elder employees working before you, and it won't be, you won't be there if they were not there. You won't be in where you are without the groundwork and the hard work for those people who done it before you.
That's right.
So I think giving respect to those seniors and trying to understand, you know, why they are behaving the way they are behaving, or why they are doing things the way they are doing that, maybe will give you the answer of a lot of your questions and the worries.
Absolutely. I'd like to just tell our audience, we have a lot of questions, and we have people from 11 countries on the call, by the way. So we are delighted to have you here. But unfortunately, I'm not sure if we can cover all the questions that you have and all the concerns that you're bringing up. But we'll do our very best. If we happen not to be able to get to your questions, feel free to contact NYUAD, the Family Business Histories Project, or ourselves, of course, Sarawat. After the session, we're happy to continue the discussion. Mr. Abdullah, there is one question which I think is really key, and perhaps also links a little bit to your participation in our project. There's this question of how do you make sure that family members can trust each other? And I'm talking about this in the context of, you know, legacy and communicating legacy. So how do you make sure that there is a, you know, not just a superficial, and I think we all, as you said, in our region, we have a tendency to be very respectful to our elders in general. There is a general, you know, politeness in how we behave with each other, even with family members. But there is a difference between kind of politeness and true trust. So how do I move from, you know, politeness and, you know, nice behavior to really, really trusting family members and making sure that they know that we have each other's backs?
Well, first of all, the family members should be mirroring each other. They should be like mirrors to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing should be hidden or kept aside.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, each will create his own castles in his mind.
Yeah.
Okay, and when castles are created, that's more dangerous.
Yes.
Members who are silent are also more dangerous. You have to get them in.
Mm-hmm.
They have to explicitly give their opinions.
Absolutely.
And share their fear.
Yeah.
Keeping them quiet, or they are not sharing anything, that's like a bomb, which can explode any time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, involving them in the different committees of the company. One handling the audit committee, one handling compensation and remuneration committee, one is handling here and there. Also give them you know, a look and the feel and the touch of the company. Non-working members non-working members of the company are also, more importantly, they have to be part of the family council and family assembly. They have to see the numbers. They have to be shared with the numbers because they will have also their own, feeling that why we are not shared with the information, why we are kept away from the numbers and the documents. They are not showing us. Those who are working are getting more money than us. Blah blah.
It's frustration, huh?
Yeah, it might not be true. It might not be true, but because of being away, aside, so they create their own fears. And we have actually a meeting with my brothers. We have every 2 months. We have a meeting called Vision. Okay, no agenda, nothing. It's just 3 hours of talking here and there in the company. We give our opinion in anything in the company. Each will give his opinion and what he feels and how he see it, and so it's part of, again, sharing the information together.
This is fantastic. I like this a lot. This is, I think, a very unique thing to do, because I would say that we have a tendency, especially in difficult times, like we had last year, we have this year, we have a tendency to focus on the operational things, fixing the problems, and we forget the big picture things. And I think a meeting like this definitely adds so much value, I would imagine.
It is.
Let me maybe jump in on that. I think this is really interesting. Full disclosure, as a historian that I'm hopelessly biased, obviously, but I would like to get your opinion on how family business history, or the case study that we've just produced, can be a tool, in building that kind of community of values and also improve operational matters than in any kind of family businesses. So what is your view on the significance of family business history?
Documenting the history or yeah.
Yes.
Actually, we are, I don't know if I get your questions well. We are going through, we are almost finishing the book of my father, the journey of my father. Okay. And he was for a long time rejecting the idea of documenting, his story. Not for a reason, but rather my father is a low profile person. He don't like to show off. These characters of the founders, the beautiful characters of the founders, they are, it's almost common across globe, where they are sincere, they are trustworthy, they are low profile people. They smile. You can trust them totally. They keep their words. It's a common across most of the founders across the globe. So my father, for a long time, was rejecting the idea of writing anything for him, about him. Luckily, 2 years back, we convinced him as brothers that you have to document your stories. You have to document what you have gone through. And really, alhamdulillah, he remembered the stories with the dates, with the names of the persons, and so that was a great gift, that we still remember that what happened in early days. So we are almost closing that book shortly. The aim is not only for the family members, for our next generations to read about the story of the founder, but also for outsiders, where the story might be inspiring to them, might be of inspiration and motivating to some of the startups. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I think that really shows also that, as you said in the beginning, the challenge of family business is that it's a business like any other business, with the challenges a normal business has, but then it has this added dimension, which is managing the emotional health of the family and motivation of the family members, and to develop the talent as it needs to develop. And I think linking it to the past in a positive way, like you are doing now, is a really key point. I once had a conversation with a next generation member from Europe, and he said, I feel my legacy is like a backpack full of stones, and I'm not allowed to look into it, but I have to carry it. And I found that a very sad image, right? I found it really depressing that this person, and it's a beautiful family business, amazingly successful. From the outside, you would never think that the next generation feels like that about their legacy. But I think sometimes this is what happens without us realizing that we use legacy as a pressure rather than as a motivator. And I think actions that you're taking actually manage to turn this around, because it showcases the entrepreneurial story of the group. And so maybe to slowly come to the last two questions of our session, if someone were to ask you, really, what is the success factor? If I look at my family business and I'm confused where to start. We are maybe second, third generation. We are living in a time where change is rapid. There's new technologies. My industry is being disrupted. What do I look at first in order to make sure I build a continuous legacy for my family business for the future?
Well, first of all, for the change the change champion, I think very important, he should have certain characters around his personal
Yeah.
He should have persistence, he should have high communication skills, he should be a good role model, he should be a senior person, elder brother or a father or elder cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And never, draw his attention out from the focus that he wanted. The second, he should create change agents around himself.
Mm-hmm.
Send them to seminars, send them to Tharawat. There's advertisement pause. Okay.
I like that.
Send them to courses, make readings and send to them readings that you have read. Mm-hmm. And where they can learn why the company succeed, why the company failed in the family business. And again, be patient with the others. Use the emotional intelligence widely in this regard. How to punch the key of each person, the hot button key. Shouldn't confront with your father. If he is not convinced about something, try to use way and means to get him convinced, either through the powerful mother or through a colleague or a friend of your father. He can convince him that what you are going through is the need to be improved, blah, blah, blah. So there are ways. So you have to be smart to handle these things wisely and not with the confrontation and dashing, but rather getting along with others with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting, and there's a question in the chat that connects to that on a different level that I just want to pose to you to get your thoughts on. The question is: a lot of opportunities are emerging from the IT and technology-enabled economies, and many new family businesses are jumping on the wagon of these kinds of businesses. And my question is: do you agree with the strategy of start fast, fail fast as a way to grab business opportunities?
I have a disconnect in the line. So
Sure, let me repeat it, no problem. I think there's a lot of movement in the IT and technology enabled economies, and a lot of family businesses are jumping on that, wagon to use IT and technology enabled solutions and business models. And the question is whether you agree with the strategy of start fast, fail fast as a way to grab business opportunities.
No, when family business, you have to be very careful.
Mm-hmm.
It's you cannot play around and operate as a high risk organization. No way. You have to be very careful. You have to know that this is not your money. This is the money for the next generations. So you have to play it smartly, wisely. From the other side, you have to know also the business model of your businesses, how it looks after 5-10 years.
Absolutely.
So if the business models is changing toward a certain direction, you have to be ahead of that. Autonomous vehicles, virtual showrooms, all these things, you have to plan it ahead of time. So you don't trap in between what the market is offering and what you are offering become obsolete. So it's very important that you think ahead of the wave. So when the wave comes, you are already prepared and you are ahead of them as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I think that's a very important kind of two parallel strategies that you have to run as a family business member. On the one hand, being the custodian, as you said, of the legacy of the wealth of the family, which passes through us. We are not just the owners of it, it passes through us to the next generation. And then at the same time, we are facing a rapidly changing environment, economically, socially, and as a family firm, we have to be agile enough to be part of that change without taking the risk that is might even be destructive at some point. So I think that's really valuable. And I'd like to close with the last question to you, Mr. Abdullah. Lessons learned. What, looking back on your career, also I know that you have been involved with many other family businesses. You have listened to their stories. You have advised them, as a friend. What are some of the key lessons that you would like to share with us today to close this session?
Well, maybe some of the points maybe I have mentioned it earlier, but I think without tracking it by importance, but I think very important to have the governance of the business as well as the governance of the family work together. It's actually two sides of the coin. You cannot have a business with a loose bond and loose family, and you cannot have a family with the loose business without governance.
Yeah.
So you have to work together in the same path. To start the change, again, as I have said, you need to change a champion and you need to change agents. And they should not quit, they should not give up, because they will have a lot of challenges ahead of them. There is an example of, there is a pipeline of oil between the east of Saudi to the west of Saudi. Pumping oil to the west, the Red Sea. Each about 200 kilometers, there is pump station. So when the oil in the pipes get a little bit slower, there is pump station that will push further. There are about 8 to 9 pump stations across the desert. So what we need here, people who have already their pump stations with them. So they will never give up. When things go down, they have a self dream. They have a self motivation that will take them to another station. Okay. I think it's very important for the young generation, as I said earlier, to pursue their dreams. If we try to put everybody in our own squares, our own silo, and they don't like it, they don't see themselves there, it will end up they will lose, end up they will have diseases, maybe health problems. So I think it's very important that each has to pursue his dream. It's good to have a good Almajdouie doctor. It's good to have a good Almajdouie captain in the Navy or whatever. You know, all these names, all these young generations who are succeeding in their own fields are also added value to the company and added value to the organization. As I said, respecting seniors, respecting them for their contribution, never neglecting what we have gone through to build up where you are now. I think very important to have the buy-ins. We have to get the buy-in from the others members to finish our task or to do our mission. Without the buy-in, you cannot be a Superman. You will have a failure from the first instant. Family dynamics are always changing, keep changing. Earlier we didn't have third generation, now we have third generation. So I think the constitutions, the governance has to adapt to this dynamism of the family members. Lastly, whatever we do in the governance or the constitution or the hard part with documenting things around will not move ahead, will not move right without having the base. And the base is really the soft part. The respect, the love, the care, the dignity, the attention to others. These are the base for any improvement we want to make. And the governance comes complementing these things. But without the base, whatever you do will be gone to vain.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for a truly visionary closure to this conversation. I as you know very well, it's always an inspiration for us to speak to you and to learn from you. I think there are many amazing business leaders in our region, but it's a privilege to be with someone who can also really communicate those points and explain to us others how we can maybe look at our own family businesses and hopefully learn from your successes, but also from the challenges that you have overcome, and build a legacy for our own families. And ultimately, this is exactly the idea of our project. So the idea is to really give people an opportunity to have exposure to stories, to entrepreneurial stories from our region. Sadly, there's not always a lot of such stories coming from our region, and our project really is supposed to contribute to that. And before closing, I just want to very quickly give an outlook on what's coming next for this project. We are delighted that we have 2 more case studies that we are going to be publishing very soon. One is from the UAE and one is from Algeria. As you see, we are trying to be as geographically diverse as we can in order to really include all these different entrepreneurial legacies and stories that we can learn from. And our upcoming webinar, which is going to be taking place in March with a truly wonderful expert from Germany who has written, I would say, almost hundreds of family business history cases from German family businesses. And so what we will do is we will ask her, how have German family businesses reacted to crises in the past, and really learn from their experience. But of course, I don't want to close without once again thanking you, and also thanking all your family, Mr. Abdullah, for participating in this case study, for giving us your time and really opening your doors to us to make this study. And as it's a collaboration between NYU and Tharawat, it should both have academic value in the future, as well as practical value for family business members in the future. Martin, maybe any final?
I can only second that. I think it was a wonderful opportunity to then speak to you again in person and review, some of the things that we found out in the case study. And I think I completely support what Farida has been saying. It's an honor, it's a pleasure to listen to you and benefit from your enormous experience, and inspire us as academics, but also as practitioners, in the family business history landscape today. So thanks so much for your time, and thanks to your family for being part of this project.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Farida. Thanks for all the guests coming, joining, and I'm delighted to be with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you all our attendees, and we hope to see you again very soon. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.